She disappeared after a night, but when the billionaire CEO saw her again, she was raising his secret triplets. "Why did you disappear, Monica?" Cole Harrington's voice was dangerously soft as he stepped closer, his imposing presence filling the hospital corridor. "4 years ago, you vanished without a trace after one night together. No call, no message, nothing." Monica's heart hammered against her ribs as she backed against the wall. "I had my reasons. Not good enough." His steel-gray eyes narrowed. "I searched for you. For years. Do you have any idea what that was like? To have someone simply erase themselves from your life without explanation." Before she could answer, a nurse's cheerful voice called from down the hall. "Ms. Avery, the doctor says the triplets can go home tomorrow if they continue improving." Cole's head snapped toward the voice, then back to Monica, his expression transforming from anger to shock. "Triplets?" he repeated, his gaze suddenly calculating. "You have children?" Monica nodded, her throat dry. "Yes, they're 4. Something flickered across his face, a dawning realization that made her blood run cold. 4 years. 3 children. One night that had changed everything. 4 years old, he said slowly, the pieces visibly falling into place behind those penetrating eyes. "Exactly how long it's been since you disappeared from my life. Have you ever wondered what would drive a woman to hide triplets from their billionaire father? Or what happens when that carefully constructed secret life comes crashing down?" This is the story of one night that created 3 lives, a mother's desperate choice, and a powerful man's determination to claim what he believes is rightfully his. Hi, my beautiful sisters. This story is for every woman who's ever had to make impossible choices to protect her children. For every mother who's sacrificed her own dreams to build a safe haven for the little ones who depend on her. Sometimes the hardest decisions come from the deepest love, and sometimes the strength to face our past comes only when we realize we're not just fighting for ourselves anymore, but for the future of those precious lives we've brought into this world. Remember, your maternal instinct is not weakness. It's the most powerful force on earth. 4 years earlier, Monica had been just another ambitious executive at a charity gala, until Cole Harrington had entered the ballroom. As CEO of Harrington Global Investments, his presence caused the expected stir, whispers following in his wake as he navigated the crowd with practiced ease. "Don't stare," her colleague had whispered. "He eats junior executives for breakfast." But when their eyes met across the champagne fountain, something electric passed between them. By midnight, they were deep in conversation about sustainable investment strategies. By 2 a.m., they were in his penthouse, the Manhattan skyline glittering beyond floor-to-ceiling windows as they surrendered to an attraction neither had expected. "I don't usually do this," Monica had murmured as dawn broke, tracing the line of his jaw. "Neither do I," he'd replied, and she'd believed him. One night, that was all it was supposed to be. A connection forged in darkness, not meant to withstand the light of day. Monica had slipped away while Cole showered, leaving nothing but a lipstick smudge on his pillowcase and the lingering scent of her perfume. She'd had her reasons for disappearing. Their companies were negotiating a delicate merger. Office rumors about her sleeping with the CEO of their potential parent company would destroy her professional credibility. And something about Cole Harrington had frightened her, not physically but emotionally. The intensity in his eyes when he looked at her suggested a man who consumed what he desired completely. 6 weeks later, staring at a positive pregnancy test, Monica had made the decision that would reshape her entire life. She would raise this child alone, away from the cutthroat corporate world and away from a man who collected companies and people with equal dispassion. When the first ultrasound revealed not 1 but 3 heartbeats, she'd laughed until she cried. Of course, Cole Harrington wouldn't do anything by halves, even unwittingly fathering children. Monica had resigned immediately, citing family reasons. She'd liquidated her investments, sold her Manhattan apartment, and disappeared to Vermont, where her grandmother had left her a modest craftsman bungalow. She changed her name legally from Monica Chun to Monica Avery, her mother's maiden name, ensuring that even the most diligent search would hit roadblocks. In Vermont, she'd built a new life centered entirely around her growing belly, and then her 3 tiny, perfect children. She'd started a small consulting business that allowed her to work from home, taking on just enough clients to maintain a comfortable if modest lifestyle. The triplets had become her world, her reason for waking each morning, her purpose, her joy. Meanwhile, Cole Harrington's star had continued to rise. Monica occasionally glimpsed him on financial news channels, his empire expanding, his reputation for ruthless brilliance growing. He seemed untouched by their brief encounter, confirming her belief that she'd made the right choice in disappearing. A man like Cole had no room in his life for unexpected children, especially not 3 at once. If you've ever kept a secret to protect someone you love, hit that like button now. And if you're wondering how far a mother will go to shield her children from a world that might harm them, subscribe to Timeless Love Tales with Mr. Harrison for stories that will touch your heart and soul. Now, pressing herself against the hospital corridor wall, Monica calculated her options. The triplets were in the pediatric ward, recovering from the tonsillectomies they'd all needed. She couldn't move them. She couldn't hide them. All she could do was face Cole and hope to control the inevitable explosion. "I didn't disappear to be found," she acknowledged. "What do you want?" "Answers." He stepped closer, his cologne achingly familiar. "You vanished after that night. No call. No message. I had to hear from HR that you'd not only left the company but relocated entirely. Why?" The genuine confusion in his question caught her off guard. Had he actually looked for her? Had he cared? Before she could formulate a response, the nurse called again. "Ms. Avery, the doctor needs your signature on some discharge papers for tomorrow." "I should get back to them," she said, deflecting. "They're recovering from surgery." "Of course." Cole's professional mask slipped back into place, though his eyes remained intensely focused on her face. "Perhaps we could continue this conversation later? I'm staying at the Edgewood. Dinner, perhaps." "I can't leave my children." "Tomorrow, then, after they're discharged." It wasn't a question. Monica hesitated, weighing her options. Refusing would only intensify his curiosity. Agreeing would give her time to prepare, to decide how much to reveal. "Fine. Tomorrow afternoon. But I'll need to bring them with me. I look forward to meeting them." Something in his tone suggested more than casual interest. "Until tomorrow, Monica." As he walked away, Monica leaned against the wall, her legs suddenly weak. Cole Harrington had spent 4 years searching for her. That much was clear from his reaction. What wasn't clear was why. Their night together had been passionate but brief, hardly the foundation for such persistent pursuit. And now he would meet his children without knowing they were his. The thought was terrifying and strangely compelling. What would he see when he looked at them? Would he recognize himself in their features, their mannerisms? Or would the disguise of her married name and the unexpected context blind him to the truth? She had less than 24 hours to prepare for a reunion she had spent 4 years avoiding. The pediatric recovery room was dimly lit, 3 small beds arranged side by side. Despite identical surgeries, the triplets had responded in ways that perfectly reflected their personalities. Eliza propped up with a book, serious and observant. Oliver curled around his stuffed dinosaur, sleeping deeply, and Alexander playing a quiet game on the tablet, ever resourceful. "Mommy!" Eliza spotted her first, her voice raspy from surgery. "Is the doctor coming back?" "Not right now, sweetheart." Monica moved to her daughter's bedside, smoothing her hair. "How are you feeling?" "My throat hurts, but the nurse gave me ice cream." "Ice cream makes everything better, doesn't it?" Monica smiled, checking on Oliver, who remained blissfully asleep. "Alex, how about you? Throat still sore?" Alexander nodded, not looking up from his game. "A little." "Who was that man you were talking to?" "The one in the fancy suit." Monica's heart skipped. "Just someone I used to know, from New York." "How did you see him?" "When the nurse took me for a walk. He looked important." "He thinks he is," Monica replied, attempting lightness. "Listen, both of you. That man, Mr. Harrington, is going to join us for lunch tomorrow after we leave the hospital." Eliza's eyes widened with interest. "Is he your friend?" "We used to work together," Monica answered carefully. He's in town on business and wanted to catch up. Does he like dinosaurs? Alexander asked, his standard measure of character assessment. I don't know. You can ask him tomorrow. As she settled into the chair between their beds, Monica's mind raced with contingency plans. She needed to contact her lawyer, update her will, perhaps even prepare emergency custody documents. If Cole recognized the triplets as his, and how could he not once he really looked at them? Everything would change. Her phone buzzed with a text message from an unknown number. I've reserved a private dining room at the Edgewood for 1 p.m. tomorrow. Car service will collect you and the children at noon. Unless you prefer to drive yourself. Of course he already had her number. Of course he'd already made arrangements. Cole Harrington operated with the assumption that the world would bend to his will, because in his experience it always had. We'll drive ourselves. Send the address, she texted back, keeping her response brief, professional. His reply came seconds later. As you wish. I look forward to meeting your family. The word family sent a chill through her. Did he suspect? Or was he simply being polite? Either way, tomorrow would bring a confrontation 4 years in the making. Monica looked at her sleeping children, Cole's children, and wondered if this would be their last peaceful night before the storm. The Edgewood Hotel dominated the Burlington skyline, its glass facade reflecting the waters of Lake Champlain. Monica parked her modest sedan in the underground garage, taking extra time to ensure the triplets looked presentable. She dressed them in matching outfits, something she rarely did, preferring to encourage their individuality, but today felt like an occasion for presenting a united front. Remember what we talked about, she reminded them as they rode the elevator. Best behavior, inside voices, and if you need anything, tell Mommy, not Mr. Harrington. Is he rich? Alexander asked, always perceptive. He looks rich on TV. Monica froze. You saw him on TV? This morning. He was talking about money stuff. Of course, Cole's business activities regularly made financial news. Even in Vermont, his face occasionally appeared on screens. She'd been so careful to avoid media coverage of him that she'd forgotten her children might encounter it randomly. Yes, he's wealthy, she acknowledged as the elevator doors opened. But that doesn't make him special or different from anyone else we know. The hotel's restaurant host greeted them with practiced deference. Ms. Avery, Mr. Harrington is waiting in the Champlain room. Please, follow me. As they walked through the elegant restaurant, Monica felt the weight of curious glances. A woman with triplets was always a spectacle. A woman with triplets being escorted to a private dining room with Cole Harrington was apparently fascinating. The host opened double doors to reveal a beautifully appointed private dining space overlooking the lake. Cole stood at the window, his back to them, a perfect silhouette against the water view. At the sound of the doors, he turned. For a moment, no one spoke. Cole's gaze moved from Monica to the 3 small children holding her hands, his expression shifting from polite interest to something more intense as he took in their features. Monica! He stepped forward, his movements controlled but his eyes never leaving the triplets. Thank you for coming. We had an agreement. She kept her voice neutral. Cole, these are my children. Eliza, Alexander, and Oliver. Cole crouched to their level, a gesture that surprised Monica. The Cole she remembered operated from a position of height and power, rarely lowering himself physically or metaphorically. Hello, he said, his voice gentler than she'd ever heard it. I'm Cole. It's very nice to meet you. Eliza, always the bravest, stepped forward. Do you like books? I like books. I'm reading Harry Potter now. I do like books, Cole replied seriously. Very much. And Harry Potter at your age is quite impressive. Do you like dinosaurs? Alexander asked, clutching his ever-present T-Rex figure. I know all the carnivores and herbivores and omnivores. Dinosaurs are fascinating, Cole assured him. Especially T-Rex. They were apex predators, that means they were at the top of the food chain. Alexander's eyes widened with approval. That's what I told Mommy. T-Rex is the king. Oliver, the quietest of the 3, simply studied Cole with solemn eyes, saying nothing but missing nothing. They've just had surgery, Monica explained as Cole straightened. They might be a bit subdued. Of course. Cole gestured to the table, already set with both adult place settings and child-appropriate dishware. I took the liberty of ordering a selection of soft foods for the children, given their recovery, and a proper lunch for us. The thoughtfulness of this preparation caught Monica off guard. She'd expected many things from this meeting, but consideration for her children's medical needs hadn't been among them. As they settled at the table, Cole continued to observe the triplets with undisguised interest. His gaze lingered on their features, their mannerisms, the way they interacted with each other. Monica could almost see the analytical wheels turning behind his eyes, processing data, forming hypotheses. They're identical, he noted as servers brought their first course. That's quite rare, isn't it? Identical triplets. Very rare, Monica confirmed, helping Oliver with his napkin. About 1 in 200 million births. Remarkable. Cole's gaze met hers briefly, something unspoken passing between them. They must keep you quite busy. They're my world, she replied simply. The meal progressed with surprising ease. Cole engaged the children directly, asking questions at their level and listening to their answers with genuine interest. He seemed particularly taken with Eliza's precocious vocabulary, Alexander's enthusiastic dinosaur knowledge, and Oliver's quiet observations. Monica watched this interaction with growing unease. Cole Harrington was many things: brilliant, demanding, intensely focused, but she had never imagined him as someone who would connect so naturally with children. This unexpected skill made him more dangerous, not less. So, Monica, Cole said as the children focused on their desserts, his tone shifting to something more direct. You left New York rather suddenly. Got married, started a family. The assumption hung in the air between them. Monica chose her words carefully. I never married, actually. The children are mine alone. Cole's expression remained neutral, but something flickered in his eyes. Calculation, perhaps, or dawning suspicion. I see. And their father. Not in the picture. Monica met his gaze steadily. It was a brief relationship. How unfortunate for him, Cole replied, his voice deceptively casual. To miss out on such extraordinary children. Before Monica could respond, Alexander tugged at Cole's sleeve. Mr. Cole, can you open this? He held up a packaged toy from his dessert. Of course. Cole helped with the wrapper, his large hands surprisingly deft with the small plastic toy. As he handed it back, his fingers brushed Alexander's, and he paused, studying the boy's hand with sudden intensity. Monica knew what he was seeing. The distinctive double-jointed thumb that Cole himself possessed, a minor genetic quirk that all three triplets had inherited. Thank you, Alexander said, oblivious to the moment's significance. Cole's gaze lifted to Monica's face, his expression now sharp with focused awareness. How old did you say they are? They turned 4 last month, she answered, her heart racing. The calculation was simple mathematics. She watched him perform it, watched his expression shift as he realized the timing aligned perfectly with their night together. His eyes widened almost imperceptibly, then narrowed as he studied each child's face with new intensity. 4 years and 1 month, he repeated softly. So they were born. In May, Monica supplied. They were premature. Cole's brow furrowed slightly as he recalculated, factoring in a premature birth. The confusion in his eyes remained, but now tinged with suspicion. Premature by how much? 8 weeks, Monica answered, the lie coming easily after years of preparation. In truth, they had been born only 3 weeks early, but the additional 5 weeks created just enough mathematical uncertainty to cast doubt on paternity. Cole's gaze returned to the triplets, studying them with renewed intensity. The resemblance was undeniable. The same steel-gray eyes, the same determined chin, even the same furrow between the brows when concentrating. But the timing she'd suggested made it improbable, if not impossible, for him to be their father. I see, he said finally. His voice controlled but with an undercurrent of something Monica couldn't quite identify. Disappointment, perhaps? or disbelief. The remainder of the meal passed in strained politeness, Cole continuing to engage with the children while occasionally shooting Monica searching looks. When it was time to leave, he walked them to the elevator, crouching once more to say goodbye to the triplets. "It was a pleasure meeting you," he told them, his voice gentle despite the tension radiating from him. "I hope to see you again soon." As the elevator doors closed, Monica caught a final glimpse of his expression. Thoughtful, calculating, and unmistakably determined. The storm hadn't passed. It had merely paused. Back at her grandmother's craftsman bungalow, Monica settled the triplets in the living room with a movie, their post-surgery recovery requiring more screen time than she typically allowed. As she prepared a light dinner in the kitchen, her mind replayed every moment of the lunch with Cole, analyzing his reactions, his questions, the way his eyes had lingered on the children's features. Had he believed her about their age and premature birth? The math didn't quite work if they were truly his, born 8 weeks early and now 4 years old. But Cole Harrington hadn't built a financial empire by accepting convenient explanations at face value. He would investigate, calculate, verify. Her phone rang, displaying Cole's number. Taking a deep breath, she answered. "Hello, Cole." "Monica." His voice was measured, controlled. "Thank you for lunch. Your children are remarkable." "Thank you. They enjoyed meeting you." A brief silence stretched between them, heavy with unspoken questions. "I'd like to see you again," he said finally. "Alone this time. There are matters we should discuss." "What matters?" She kept her tone casual, though her heart raced. "Your abrupt departure from New York, the merger that fell apart after you left, the fact that you've been deliberately hiding from me for 4 years." His voice hardened slightly. "And perhaps the real story behind your children's parentage." Monica's grip tightened on the phone. "I don't owe you explanations about my life choices, Cole. Don't you?" The question hung between them, loaded with implication. "4 years ago, we shared something significant. The next morning, you disappeared without a trace. Now I find you with 3 children who bear a striking resemblance to my family line. I think I'm entitled to a few answers. What exactly are you suggesting?" "I'm not suggesting anything yet." The emphasis on yet was unmistakable. "But I will get to the truth, Monica. One way or another." The threat was implicit but clear. Cole Harrington had resources, connections, and a determination that had toppled far more formidable obstacles than her carefully constructed deception. "Fine," she conceded, calculating that controlling the narrative was better than allowing him to investigate independently. "Dinner tomorrow, 8 p.m. I'll meet you at your hotel." "Perfect. I'll arrange for a private dining room." After hanging up, Monica leaned against the kitchen counter, her legs suddenly weak. She had bought herself 24 hours, but to what end? What story could she possibly construct that would satisfy Cole's curiosity without revealing the truth? The sound of small footsteps pulled her from these thoughts. Oliver stood in the doorway, his stuffed dinosaur clutched to his chest. "Mommy? Are you okay? You look worried." Monica forced a smile, crouching to his level. "I'm fine, sweetheart. Just thinking about grown-up things." Oliver studied her face with the solemn intensity that so resembled his father's. "Was it about Mr. Cole? Eliza says he looks like us." The observation, so innocent yet so perceptive, sent a chill through Monica. "Does she? Well, sometimes people just happen to look similar. He has the same thumbs as us," Oliver continued, demonstrating the double-jointed bend that all 3 triplets had inherited. "And he frowns like Alex when he's thinking hard." "You noticed a lot about Mr. Cole," Monica said carefully. Oliver nodded. "I like watching people. Is he going to be our friend now?" The question carried more weight than her son could possibly understand. "I'm not sure, sweetheart. Would you like that?" "I think so. He knew lots about dinosaurs, and he didn't talk to us like we're babies." Oliver's expression turned thoughtful. "But he made you nervous. I could tell." Monica sometimes forgot how observant her quietest child could be. "Mr. Cole and I have a complicated history, from before you were born." "Was he mean to you?" "No, not mean. Monica chose her words carefully. Just intense. He's used to getting his way. Oliver considered this, then nodded sagely. Like when Eliza wants the blue cup and won't take the red one even though they're exactly the same. The comparison startled a laugh from Monica. Something like that, yes. Well, you always make Eliza use the red cup anyway when it's her turn. Because it's fair. Out of the mouths of babes. That's right. Because it's fair. As Oliver returned to the living room, Monica remained crouched on the kitchen floor, his simple wisdom echoing in her mind. Was it fair to keep Cole from knowing his children? Was it fair to deny the triplets knowledge of their father? The justifications that had seemed so solid 4 years ago felt increasingly fragile under the weight of 3 curious, perceptive children who deserved the truth. But fairness cut both ways. Was it fair that Cole Harrington, with his billions and battalions of lawyers, could potentially take control of her children's lives? Was it fair that her years of single motherhood, of midnight feedings and fever watches and first steps, could be reduced to a custody arrangement dictated by his terms? There were no easy answers, only the certainty that tomorrow's dinner would change everything. If you've ever had to choose between telling a difficult truth or protecting those you love with a lie, hit that like button. And if you're wondering how this confrontation will unfold, subscribe to Timeless Love Tales with Mr. Harrison for stories that explore the complicated choices we make for love. The Edgewood Hotel's private dining room was even more elegant in the evening, soft lighting highlighting the panoramic views of Lake Champlain. Cole stood as Monica entered, his expression carefully neutral as he took in her appearance. A simple black dress, professional yet elegant, armor for the battle ahead. "You look lovely," he said, pulling out her chair. "Thank you." Monica sat, accepting the glass of wine already poured for her. "I arranged for a sitter. The triplets send their regards. They're charming children." Cole took his seat opposite her. "Intelligent, well-mannered, observant. You've done an excellent job raising them." The compliment seemed genuine, catching Monica off guard. "Thank you. It hasn't always been easy, but they're worth every challenge. I imagine raising triplets alone would be extraordinarily difficult." Cole studied her over the rim of his wine glass. "Especially while building a new consulting business in an unfamiliar city. I had help. My grandmother lived here until she passed 2 years ago. And I have good neighbors, a reliable sitter. Still, it's impressive." His tone shifted, becoming more direct. "Almost as impressive as how thoroughly you disappeared 4 years ago. No forwarding address, no social media presence, a legal name change. If not for the hospital records, I might never have found you." Monica met his gaze steadily. "That was the intention." "Why?" The question was simple but loaded. "What happened that night that sent you running so completely?" "It wasn't about that night, Cole." Monica chose her words carefully. "It was about what would have happened afterward. Office gossip, professional complications, the merger negotiations. All problems that could have been managed." Cole's expression hardened slightly. "Try again, Monica. Why did you really leave?" The moment of truth had arrived sooner than she'd anticipated. Monica took a fortifying sip of wine, weighing her options. Continued deception seemed pointless. Cole was too perceptive, too determined to accept anything but the truth. But the full truth would upend everything. "I left because I was pregnant," she said finally, watching his expression carefully. "And I knew what that would mean for my career, for the merger, for everything I'd worked for." Cole went very still, his gray eyes never leaving her face. "Pregnant," he repeated, the word hanging between them. "With triplets." "Yes, my children." It wasn't a question, but Monica answered anyway. "Yes." For a moment, Cole Harrington, master of the universe, man who controlled billions with a word, seemed genuinely speechless. Then his expression shifted through a rapid series of emotions. Shock, anger, disbelief, and finally, a cold, focused fury. "For years," he said, his voice dangerously quiet, "you've kept my children from me for 4 years. I made a choice I thought was best at the time." Best for whom? The edge in his voice could have cut glass. Certainly not for the children, denied their father and half their heritage. Certainly not for me, robbed of years I can never recover. Best for all of us, Monica countered, her own anger rising to meet his. You weren't looking for a family, Cole. You were building an empire. Children, especially 3 unexpected ones, would have been complications, liabilities in your perfectly controlled world. You had no right to make that decision unilaterally. I had every right. They were growing inside my body. My career was the one that would be derailed. My life was the one that would be completely transformed. While I remained blissfully ignorant, Cole's voice was bitter. Tell me, Monica, did you ever intend to tell me? Or would you have kept this secret forever if I hadn't found you? The question struck at the heart of her guilt, the doubt that had plagued her through sleepless nights and milestone moments. I don't know, she admitted finally. I told myself I'd tell them about you when they were older, that I'd contact you then. But the truth is, I was afraid. Of me. Genuine surprise colored his tone. Of what you might do. Of losing them to your wealth, your power, your influence. Of becoming a footnote in their lives while you shaped them into miniature versions of yourself. Cole's expression shifted, something like understanding flickering briefly in his eyes before the anger returned. So instead, you denied me any role at all. Yes. Monica met his gaze directly. And if that was wrong, I'll answer for it. But I won't apologize for protecting my children. Our children, Cole corrected sharply. And this conversation is just the beginning, Monica. I've missed 4 years of their lives. I won't miss another day. The declaration sent a chill through her. What does that mean exactly? It means I'm staying in Burlington. It means I'll be establishing a relationship with my children. It means legal recognition of my paternity, with all the rights that entails. His expression was implacable. And it means you and I will need to find a way to co-parent 3 children who deserve both of us in their lives. Monica had expected threats, legal maneuvers, perhaps even an attempt to take the children from her. This measured, determined approach was somehow more terrifying. And if I refuse? Don't. The single word carried more weight than any elaborate threat. You've controlled this situation for 4 years, Monica. That ends now. We can do this amicably with the children's best interests at heart, or we can do it through the courts. But make no mistake, I will be part of their lives going forward. The certainty in his voice left no room for doubt. Cole Harrington had found his children, and nothing in heaven or earth would keep him from them now. They don't know about you, Monica said quietly. They think their father was someone who wasn't ready for family life, who chose not to be involved. A muscle twitched in Cole's jaw. Another lie. A simplified version of what I believed to be true. And now, Monica sighed, the fight draining out of her. Now I don't know what to tell them. They're only 4, Cole. They won't understand the complexities of why I kept you from them, why you're suddenly appearing in their lives. Then we tell them a simplified version of the actual truth, Cole suggested, his tone softening slightly. That their father didn't know about them. But now he does, and he wants very much to be part of their lives. The reasonableness of this approach caught Monica off guard. She had prepared for a battle, not a negotiation. You're not what I expected, she admitted. What did you expect? Threats, lawyers, perhaps an attempt to take custody immediately. Cole's expression turned thoughtful. 4 years ago, perhaps that would have been my approach. I was less patient then, less willing to consider perspectives other than my own. And now I've spent 4 years searching for a woman who disappeared after a single night, because something about her lingered in my mind, refused to be filed away and forgotten. His gaze met hers, unexpectedly vulnerable. I looked for you, Monica, long before I knew about the children. The admission stunned her. Why? At first, because I don't like loose ends. Then because I was curious why someone so ambitious would abandon her career so completely. And finally, because I realized that night meant something I hadn't anticipated. What did it mean? Monica asked, her voice barely above a whisper. A connection I hadn't experienced before. One I wanted to explore further. Cole's expression turned wry. I'm not a sentimental man, Monica. I don't believe in love at first sight or soulmates or any of that nonsense. But I do recognize when something or someone is exceptional. The unexpected vulnerability in his admission left Monica momentarily speechless. She had spent 4 years constructing an image of Cole Harrington as a ruthless corporate titan, a man who would view children as possessions and fatherhood as a right rather than a privilege. This glimpse of something more complex, more human, threatened the foundations of her carefully maintained defenses. I don't know what to say, she admitted finally. Say you'll give me a chance to know my children, Cole replied, his voice steady. Say you'll help them understand who I am and why I wasn't there before. Say we can find a way forward that puts their needs first. It was the most reasonable request imaginable, and yet it would change everything. And if I agree, what happens then? Then we take it one day at a time, Cole said simply. I'll stay in Burlington for now, establish a relationship with the triplets gradually. We'll work out a formal custody arrangement that respects your role as their primary caregiver while acknowledging my rights as their father. And perhaps, he hesitated, perhaps we'll discover who we are to each other now, beyond our shared connection to 3 remarkable children. The implication hung between them, unexpected and unsettling. Monica had prepared for anger, for legal battles, for the worst of Cole Harrington. She hadn't prepared for this. Thoughtfulness, patience, and the suggestion that what had begun 4 years ago might still hold possibilities. One day at a time, she agreed cautiously. Starting with telling the children the truth. A simplified version, as you suggested. Tomorrow. Monica nodded, the weight of the decision settling on her shoulders. Tomorrow. If you believe that every child deserves to know both parents when possible, hit that like button. And if you're curious about how these 3 innocent children will react to discovering their father, subscribe to Timeless Love Tales with Mr. Harrison for stories that explore the complex bonds of family. The next morning dawned bright and clear, sunlight streaming through the windows of the craftsman bungalow as Monica prepared breakfast for the triplets. She had barely slept, rehearsing different versions of the conversation to come, imagining the children's questions, their reactions, the moment their world would fundamentally change. Her phone chimed with a text from Cole. What time should I arrive? She hesitated, then replied, 10 a.m., after breakfast but before they get too restless. His response came immediately, I'll be there. Thank you, Monica. The simple gratitude in those words caught her off guard. The Cole Harrington she had known 4 years ago didn't thank people for doing what he considered right or necessary. He expected it as his due. At precisely 10 a.m., the doorbell rang. The triplets, playing in the living room, looked up with curiosity. Is that Mr. Cole? Eliza asked, already heading toward the door. Is he coming to play with us? Yes, it's Mr. Cole, Monica confirmed, intercepting her daughter before she could reach the door. But he's not just here to play. We need to have a family talk first. Alexander's brow furrowed in the expression so like his father's. Are we in trouble? Not at all, Monica assured him, opening the door to reveal Cole standing on the porch, impeccably dressed in casual clothes that still managed to look expensive. Mr. Cole is here to tell you something important. Cole's gaze moved from Monica to the children, his expression softening in a way that made her heart constrict unexpectedly. Good morning, he greeted them, crouching to their level as he had at the restaurant. Thank you for inviting me to your home. Oliver, usually the quietest, spoke first. Mommy says you have something important to tell us. I do, Cole confirmed, glancing at Monica for guidance. She nodded, gesturing toward the living room. Let's all sit down together. The triplets settled on the sofa, instinctively arranging themselves in their usual order. Eliza, Alexander, Oliver, while Monica and Cole took the chairs opposite them. The scene was surreal in its normalcy, like any family discussion except for the life-altering revelation about to unfold. Children, Monica began, her voice steadier than she felt. Remember how I've told you that your daddy couldn't be with us because he didn't know about you? 3 solemn nods greeted this question. Well, that was true. Your daddy didn't know about you, but now he does. She took a deep breath. And he wants very much to be part of your lives. Eliza, always quickest to process new information, looked from Monica to Cole and back again, her eyes widening with dawning comprehension. Is Mr. Cole our daddy? The directness of the question momentarily stunned both adults. Cole recovered first, his voice gentle but firm. Yes, Eliza, I am your father. A beat of silence followed this declaration. Three young minds processing information that changed their entire understanding of the world. Then Alexander, practical as always, asked, Is that why we have the same thumbs? Cole smiled, extending his hand to demonstrate the distinctive double-jointed thumb they shared. Yes, that's exactly why. You inherited that from me. What's inherited? Oliver asked quietly. It means something that's passed down from parents to children, Cole explained. Like your eyes, which are the same color as mine. Or the way Alexander furrows his brow when he's thinking hard. I do that too. The triplets exchanged glances, their identical faces showing varying degrees of confusion, curiosity, and cautious excitement. Why didn't you know about us? Eliza asked, her tone more curious than accusatory. Cole looked to Monica, silently asking how much to share. She nodded slightly, encouraging him to continue with the simplified truth they'd agreed upon. Your mother and I knew each other for only a short time before she moved away, Cole explained carefully. She didn't know how to reach me to tell me about you. It was only by chance that I found her. And you, a few days ago. At the hospital, Alexander supplied, putting the pieces together. That's right, Cole confirmed. And when I saw you, I knew right away that you were very special to me. But you didn't know we were your kids then, Oliver observed, his quiet perceptiveness once again catching the adults off guard. No, not immediately, Cole admitted. But I suspected. You look very much like me, and like my father, your grandfather. We have a grandfather? Eliza's eyes widened with excitement at this new revelation. You do, Cole said, though his tone held a complexity the children couldn't yet understand. And a grandmother, though I don't see her often. You also have cousins and aunts and uncles you haven't met yet. A whole family, Alexander breathed, clearly awed by the concept. Yes, Cole confirmed, his voice softening. A whole family who will be very excited to meet you. But only when you're ready, he added quickly, glancing at Monica. There's no rush. Monica felt a surge of gratitude for this consideration. This acknowledgement that the children's comfort must come first. It was another glimpse of a Cole Harrington she hadn't known existed. One capable of patience and empathy. Do you have any questions for Mr. Cole? Monica asked the triplets, watching their expressions carefully for signs of distress. Are you going to live with us now? Oliver asked, his serious eyes fixed on Cole's face. No, not right now, Cole answered honestly. I have my own place to stay. But I would like to spend time with you, to get to know you better, if that's okay with you. Can you read Harry Potter? Eliza asked, her priorities clear. Mommy's reading it to us, but we're only on chapter 3. Cole smiled, genuine warmth lighting his features. I'd be happy to read Harry Potter with you. I've read all the books myself. Do you know about Diplodocus? Alexander asked, never one to be outdone by his sister. They're my second favorite dinosaur after T-Rex. I know a little, Cole admitted, but I'd love to learn more from you. Perhaps we could visit a museum together sometime. The conversation continued, the children's questions becoming more animated as their initial shock gave way to curiosity. They wanted to know where Cole lived, what his job was, whether he liked ice cream, a critical question in their world, and dozens of other details that seemed to reassure them that the stranger-turned-father was a real person they could understand. Throughout it all, Monica watched in wonder as Cole answered each question with patience and honesty, never talking down to them, never dismissing even their most trivial concerns. This was a side of him she had never imagined, a natural ability to connect with children that couldn't be faked or forced. When the initial flurry of questions finally subsided, Cole looked to Monica, silently asking what came next. She recognized the deference in his gaze, his willingness to follow her lead in this delicate new territory. "I thought," she said carefully, "that perhaps Mr. Cole might join us for lunch, and then maybe take you to the park this afternoon, if everyone feels comfortable with that." "Yes," Eliza exclaimed immediately, while Alexander nodded enthusiastically. Only Oliver hesitated, his thoughtful gaze moving between his mother and newly discovered father. "Will you come too, Mommy?" he asked finally. Monica hadn't planned to, thinking the children might bond more easily with Cole if she weren't present. But Oliver's question revealed an uncertainty she couldn't ignore. "Of course I will," she assured him. "This time we'll all go together." The relief in Oliver's expression was matched by something like gratitude in Cole's eyes. This first outing would be a family affair, awkward and uncertain perhaps, but together. As the children dispersed to get ready for lunch, Cole moved to stand beside Monica, his voice low enough that only she could hear. "Thank you," he said simply. "They're extraordinary, Monica. You've done an amazing job with them." The genuine admiration in his voice touched something deep within her, a place that had longed for recognition of the monumental task she'd undertaken alone. "They make it easy," she replied, though they both knew that wasn't entirely true. "They're good kids." "They're our kids," Cole corrected gently. "And I meant what I said. I want to do this right at their pace with your guidance. I've missed 4 years. I can be patient now." The sincerity in his voice was unmistakable, and for the first time since seeing him in that hospital corridor, Monica allowed herself to consider that perhaps, just perhaps, Cole Harrington's presence in their lives might not be the disaster she had feared. The next few weeks unfolded in a careful dance of new routines and boundaries. True to his word, Cole established himself in Burlington, leasing a lakeside home not far from Monica's bungalow. He arranged his business affairs to allow him to spend several days each week in Vermont, conducting meetings virtually and flying to New York only when absolutely necessary. The triplets adjusted to his presence with the remarkable resilience of childhood. Each formed their own relationship with their father, reflecting their distinct personalities. Eliza, bold and curious, bombarded Cole with questions and demands for attention. Alexander sought to impress him with knowledge and accomplishments. Oliver, still the most cautious, observed carefully before offering small, precious moments of trust. For Monica, the adjustment proved more complicated. After 4 years of making every decision for her children, sharing parental authority required a conscious effort. She found herself bristling when Cole suggested different approaches to bedtime routines or educational choices, then reminding herself that his perspective deserved consideration. "They need more structure around screen time," Cole observed one evening after the children had gone to bed. He had joined them for dinner, now a regular occurrence 3 times a week. "Alexander especially seems to struggle with transitions when the tablet has to be put away." Monica's first instinct was defensiveness. "They have clear limits. 30 minutes on weekdays, an hour on weekends." "I'm not criticizing the amount," Cole clarified, sensing her tension. "Just suggesting a timer or warning system. At the office, we use a 10-minute warning before meetings end. It helps people mentally prepare for the transition." The comparison of her 4-year-olds to corporate executives was so absurdly Cole that Monica couldn't help but laugh. "You're managing our children like employees now?" Cole smiled, acknowledging the humor. Effective strategies work in multiple contexts, but it was just a suggestion. To her surprise, Monica found herself considering his idea. Actually, it might help. Alexander does hate being surprised by the end of his tablet time. These small moments of cooperation accumulated gradually, building a tentative co-parenting relationship neither had expected. Cole brought resources and fresh perspectives. Monica contributed deep knowledge of the children's needs and the wisdom of experience. Together, they began forming a partnership centered entirely on 3 small humans who needed them both. The children, meanwhile, blossomed under the attention of 2 parents. Eliza's reading advanced rapidly with Cole's encouragement. Alexander's interest in science expanded beyond dinosaurs as Cole introduced him to simple experiments. Even quiet Oliver began to emerge from his shell, particularly when Cole discovered his talent for drawing and supplied professional quality art materials sized for small hands. "He's good with them," Monica admitted to her friend Diane over coffee. 6 weeks into this new arrangement. Better than I expected. Patient. Attentive. He actually listens to them. And how is he with you? Diane asked, her expression knowing. Monica avoided her friend's gaze. Professional. Respectful. We're focused on the children. Diane hummed skeptically. And that's why you've started wearing makeup for family dinners and bought new clothes for the first time in 2 years. That's not. Monica began, then stopped, unable to complete the denial convincingly. The truth was more complicated than she wanted to admit, even to herself. Seeing Cole with the children, witnessing his genuine effort to be a good father, had begun shifting something inside her. The man she'd feared and fled from 4 years ago was still there, powerful, intense, accustomed to control. But alongside him existed another Cole, one capable of sitting cross-legged on the floor playing board games, one who remembered each child's preferences and peculiarities, one who looked at her sometimes with an expression that made her heart beat faster. It's complicated, she said finally. Life usually is, Diane replied with a smile. Just be careful. Co-parenting is one thing. Anything more? There is nothing more, Monica insisted, perhaps too quickly. We're finding our way as parents. That's all. But later that evening, when Cole arrived for dinner with 3 different books he'd found specifically to match each child's current interests, Monica found herself watching him with the triplets and wondering if "that's all" was entirely true. If you've ever found yourself reassessing someone you thought you knew completely, hit that like button. And if you're curious about how this delicate new family balance will be tested, subscribe to Timeless Love Tales with Mr. Harrison for stories that explore the unexpected turns life can take. 8 weeks after Cole's discovery of his children, the fragile equilibrium they had established faced its first serious challenge. Monica was preparing breakfast when her phone rang with Cole's distinctive ringtone. Monica. His voice was all business, none of the warmth she'd grown accustomed to in recent weeks. I need to discuss something important. Can I come by after the children leave for preschool? The formality in his tone sent a chill through her. Of course. Is everything okay? We'll talk when I arrive. He ended the call abruptly, leaving Monica staring at her phone in confusion. 2 hours later, after seeing the triplets off to their morning preschool program, Monica opened the door to find Cole looking every inch the corporate titan, his casual Vermont attire replaced by a tailored suit that screamed Manhattan power broker. What's going on? She asked as he strode into the living room, his energy filling the small space. I've been summoned back to New York, he said without preamble. The board is concerned about my extended absence. There are matters requiring my physical presence. I see. Monica kept her voice neutral, though disappointment flared unexpectedly. How long will you be gone? That's what we need to discuss. Cole turned to face her, his expression unreadable. The situation isn't temporary. The European acquisition, the Tokyo expansion, the new product launch, these all require my presence at headquarters. I can't effectively run a global corporation remotely from Vermont indefinitely. The implication hung in the air between them. So you're leaving, Monica said flatly. Going back to your real life. No. Cole's response was immediate and firm. My children are part of my real life now. That's non-negotiable. Then what are you suggesting? I want the triplets to come to New York with me. The words landed like a physical blow. Absolutely not. Monica. No, Cole. Their lives are here. Their preschool, their friends, their routine. Everything they know is in Vermont. And their father is in New York, he countered. Along with educational opportunities, cultural experiences, and resources you can't provide here. The old fear surged back, the terror that had driven her to disappear 4 years ago. This was the Cole Harrington she had fled from, the man who believed his wealth and power entitled him to whatever he wanted, who saw obstacles as things to be removed rather than navigated. We had an agreement, she reminded him, fighting to keep her voice steady. Gradual integration, respect for their established lives, putting their needs first. Their needs include having their father fully present in their lives, Cole argued. Not just for occasional visits when my schedule permits. They deserve better than that. Better than a peaceful, stable home where they're thriving? Better than a community where they're known and loved? Better than consistency and routine? Monica's voice rose despite her efforts to remain calm. Or do you mean better things? More expensive schools? Fancier clothes? Bigger houses? Cole's expression hardened. Don't reduce this to materialism. This is about family. About giving them access to both parents, to their extended family, to opportunities that will shape their futures. This is about control, Monica countered. About you deciding unilaterally what's best, just like you always have. That's unfair. Is it? 8 weeks, Cole. You've known them for 8 weeks, and already you're planning to uproot their entire lives to suit your convenience. It's not about convenience. Cole's voice took on an edge she hadn't heard since their first confrontation. It's about reality. I have responsibilities to thousands of employees, to shareholders, to the company I've built. I can't abandon those responsibilities, but I won't abandon my children either. So instead, you expect them to abandon everything familiar? To leave the only home they've ever known? They would have you, Cole pointed out. I'm not suggesting they move without you. Monica stared at him, momentarily speechless. You expect me to move to New York? To give up my business, my home, my independence? I expect us to find a solution that works for our family, Cole replied, his tone moderating slightly. That might mean you and the children relocating to New York. It might mean a bicoastal arrangement with homes in both places. It might mean something else entirely. But it has to acknowledge the reality that I cannot permanently base myself in Vermont. The reasonable tone only inflamed Monica's anger further. This was how Cole operated, presenting his predetermined outcome as the only logical conclusion, making opposition seem irrational or selfish. The children aren't chess pieces to be moved around the board at your convenience, she said coldly. And neither am I. We're not relocating to New York. Cole's expression shifted, something calculating entering his gaze. I had hoped we could resolve this amicably, for the children's sake. Don't, Monica warned, recognizing the implicit threat. Don't turn this into a legal battle. I don't want to, Cole said, and she believed him. But I will not be a part-time father who sees his children only when his schedule permits. They deserve better than that. And legally, I have rights that haven't been formally established yet. The threat hung in the air between them, all the more potent for being understated. Cole Harrington had the resources to wage a custody battle that would drain Monica financially and emotionally. He had the power to make her life extraordinarily difficult if he chose to exercise it. I thought you were different, Monica said quietly. These past weeks, I've seen a side of you I never knew existed. Patient, considerate, willing to compromise. Was that all an act? A strategy to gain my trust before showing your true colors? Something flickered in Cole's eyes. Hurt, perhaps, or frustration. No, everything you've seen is real. My love for the children is real. My respect for you as their mother is real. He ran a hand through his hair, a rare gesture of discomposure. But my responsibilities in New York are also real. I can't simply abandon the company I've built, the people who depend on me. And we can't simply abandon our lives here, Monica countered. The triplets are finally settled after their surgeries. They have friends at preschool, a routine they understand, a home they feel safe in. Uprooting them now would be traumatic. Cole was silent for a moment, his expression thoughtful rather than angry. What if it wasn't immediate, he suggested finally. What if we planned a transition over several months? The children could visit New York on weekends, get to know the city, the penthouse. You could explore neighborhoods, schools, potential office spaces for your consulting business. You're still assuming the end result is us moving to New York. I'm suggesting we find a middle ground, Cole corrected. Perhaps splitting time between both places. The triplets are young enough that dual residency wouldn't disrupt their education yet. And technology makes running businesses from multiple locations more feasible than ever. Monica wanted to reject the proposal outright, to stand firm on keeping the children in Vermont permanently. But something in Cole's expression, a genuine desire to find a solution rather than impose his will, gave her pause. "I need time to think," she said finally. "This isn't a decision I can make on the spot." "Of course." Cole nodded, his posture relaxing slightly. "Take whatever time you need. But I fly back to New York tomorrow for at least 2 weeks of critical meetings. I'd like to have a framework in place before I leave." 2 weeks. Monica couldn't hide her surprise. "The children will miss you. They've grown used to seeing you almost daily." "I know." Real regret colored his voice. "I'll video call every day. But this is exactly the problem I'm trying to address. I don't want to be a father who disappears for weeks at a time because of work commitments." The irony wasn't lost on Monica. Cole Harrington, who had built his reputation on ruthless dedication to his company, now frustrated by the very success that kept him from his children. "I'll think about it," she promised. "But I won't be pressured into a decision that isn't right for the triplets." "I would expect nothing less." Cole's expression softened slightly. "They're lucky to have you fighting for them so fiercely." The unexpected compliment caught Monica off guard. Before she could respond, Cole glanced at his watch. "I have a video conference in 20 minutes. I should go. But I'll stop by this evening to say goodbye to the children before I leave tomorrow." After he left, Monica sank onto the sofa, her mind racing. The prospect of moving to New York filled her with dread. Returning to the city she'd fled, living under Cole's influence, potentially sacrificing the independence she'd fought so hard to establish. Yet the alternative, forcing the triplets to have a long-distance relationship with their father, seemed equally problematic. There were no easy answers, only competing priorities and the certainty that whatever decision she made would fundamentally reshape all their lives. That evening, Cole returned as promised to say goodbye to the children. He arrived bearing small gifts, a set of constellation cards for Eliza, a detailed dinosaur encyclopedia for Alexander, and a professional sketchbook for Oliver. The triplets received these treasures with delight, unaware of the tension simmering between their parents. "Will you be gone a long time?" Eliza asked as Cole helped her arrange the constellation cards on her bedroom floor. 2 weeks, Cole answered honestly. "That's 14 sleeps. But I'll call every day, and you can tell me about preschool and what you're reading." "That's a lot of sleeps," Alexander observed, already paging through his dinosaur book. "It is," Cole agreed. "But I'll be back as soon as I can." Oliver, who had been quietly examining his sketchbook, looked up with solemn eyes. "Are you going to go away forever like you did before?" The innocent question landed like a physical blow. Cole glanced at Monica, who stood in the doorway watching the interaction, before turning back to his son. "No, Oliver, I'm not going away forever. I didn't know about you before, remember? But now I do, and I'll always come back to you. Always." The fierce certainty in his voice seemed to satisfy Oliver, who nodded and returned to his sketchbook. But the question lingered in the air between the adults, a reminder of the fragility of the children's trust and the responsibility they both bore to protect it. Later, after the triplets were asleep, Cole and Monica stood on the front porch, the summer evening wrapping them in warm darkness. "I meant what I said to Oliver," Cole said quietly. "I'm not disappearing from their lives. Ever." "I know." Monica believed him. Whatever else Cole Harrington might be, he was not a man who made promises lightly. "Think about what I proposed," he continued. "A gradual transition, exploring options that might work for all of us. I'm not trying to dictate terms, Monica. I'm trying to find a solution." "I will," she promised. "But I need you to understand something, Cole. These past 4 years, it's been just the 4 of us. Every decision, every struggle, every triumph. It was all on me. I can't just hand over control of our lives, even to you." Cole was silent for a moment, his expression thoughtful in the dim porch light. "I do understand," he said finally. "More than you might think. Building something from nothing, protecting it, being solely responsible for its success or failure, that's familiar territory for me. The comparison between her family and his company should have offended Monica, but instead, she found herself nodding. Then you understand why I can't make this decision lightly or quickly. I do. Cole hesitated, then added, for what it's worth, I admire what you've built here. The life you've created for our children, the stability, the love. I'm not trying to dismantle it. I'm trying to add to it. The sincerity in his voice touched something deep within Monica, a place that had longed for recognition of the monumental task she'd undertaken alone. Thank you, she said simply. Cole nodded, then checked his watch. I should go. Early flight tomorrow. Safe travels, Monica offered, the polite phrase inadequate for the complexity of the moment. As Cole walked to his car, Monica remained on the porch, watching until his taillights disappeared down the quiet street. 2 weeks without his presence. 2 weeks to decide whether to uproot her children's lives or fight to keep them in Vermont. 2 weeks to determine if the tentative trust she'd begun to place in Cole Harrington was justified or misplaced. The weight of the decision settled on her shoulders like a physical burden, heavy with consequence and uncertainty. If you've ever had to choose between what's comfortable and what's right for your family, hit that like button. And if you're wondering how this impossible choice will resolve, subscribe to Timeless Love Tales with Mr. Harrison for stories that explore the difficult decisions that shape our lives. Cole's absence created a vacuum in their daily routine that surprised Monica with its intensity. The triplets asked for him constantly, confused by the sudden disruption to the pattern they'd grown accustomed to. Video calls helped but couldn't replace his physical presence. The way he would crouch to their level when they spoke, the patient attention he gave to their stories, the security of his large hand holding theirs at the park. For Monica, the emptiness was more complex. She had grown used to sharing parental decisions, to having another adult to consult when Oliver refused to eat vegetables or Eliza had a nightmare. More unsettling was the realization that she missed Cole himself. His dry humor, his insightful observations about the children, even their occasional disagreements about parenting approaches. As promised, she spent the 2 weeks considering options. She researched schools in Manhattan, explored the possibility of expanding her consulting business to New York clients, even looked into real estate that might offer the triplets a living situation comparable to their Vermont home. Each investigation left her more conflicted, torn between practical concerns and emotional attachments. 10 days into Cole's absence, the decision was abruptly taken out of her hands. Monica was working at her home office when the call came from the preschool. Ms. Avery, this is Director Simmons. There's been an incident with Oliver. He's running a high fever and complaining of severe abdominal pain. We've called an ambulance. The world seemed to tilt beneath Monica's feet. I'm on my way. Where are they taking him? Burlington Medical Center. The same hospital where they had their tonsillectomies. Monica was already grabbing her keys, her mind racing. What about Eliza and Alexander? They're fine but understandably upset. Would you like us to keep them here until you can arrange pickup? Or should we send them with Oliver? Keep them there, Monica decided quickly. I'll call our neighbor to get them once I know what's happening with Oliver. The drive to the hospital was a blur of terror and desperate prayers. By the time Monica reached the emergency department, Oliver had already been admitted and taken for tests. A sympathetic nurse led her to his room, where her smallest triplet lay pale and listless on a bed that seemed to swallow his tiny frame. Mommy, he whimpered as she rushed to his side. My tummy really hurts. I know, baby. Monica stroked his hair, forcing calm into her voice despite the fear clawing at her throat. The doctors are going to figure out what's wrong and make it better. The pediatric surgeon arrived moments later, her expression serious but kind. Ms. Avery, I'm Dr. Patel. We've done an ultrasound, and it appears Oliver has appendicitis. We need to operate immediately. Monica felt the blood drain from her face. Surgery? But he just had surgery for his tonsils 2 months ago. I understand your concern, but appendicitis can be life-threatening if not treated promptly. The good news is that we've caught it early, before the appendix has ruptured. The procedure is straightforward, and children typically recover quickly. As the doctor explained the surgery and risks, Monica nodded mechanically, signing forms with a hand that didn't feel like her own. Only one thought kept repeating in her mind. Cole should be here. He should know. He should have a say in this decision affecting his son. "Can I make a quick call before you take him?" she asked as the surgical team prepared to move Oliver. "Of course, but please be brief. We need to get him into surgery." Stepping into the hallway, Monica called Cole's private number, the one he'd given her for emergencies. It went straight to voicemail. Of course, he was in meetings, probably with his phone silenced. She left a message, her voice tight with controlled panic. "Cole, it's Monica. Oliver's in the hospital with appendicitis. They're taking him into surgery now." She paused, unsure what else to say. "I thought you should know." Returning to Oliver's side, she kissed his forehead and promised to be waiting when he woke up. As they wheeled him away, Monica felt more alone than she had in years, the weight of sole responsibility crushing in its intensity. 3 hours later, Monica sat in the surgical waiting room, physically and emotionally exhausted. She had arranged for Diane to pick up Eliza and Alexander from preschool and take them to her house for the evening. She had called the preschool director, Oliver's pediatrician, and the insurance company. She had done everything a responsible single mother should do in a crisis. Except she wasn't a single mother anymore. Not technically. And the absence of Oliver's father during this crisis felt like a physical ache. A gap in the family unit that had only recently become complete. "Ms. Avery?" Monica looked up to see Dr. Patel approaching, still in surgical scrubs but smiling reassuringly. "The surgery went perfectly," the doctor announced. "Oliver's appendix hadn't ruptured, which means a simpler recovery. He's in post-op now and should be moved to a room shortly. You can see him then." Relief washed over Monica in a wave so powerful she felt lightheaded. "Thank you. Thank you so much. He's a strong little boy," Dr. Patel said warmly, "and very brave. He told me he wasn't scared because his daddy had explained that doctors are like mechanics for the body, and sometimes parts need to be fixed or removed." Monica blinked in surprise. His father told him that? That's what Oliver said. It seemed to comfort him. As the doctor left, Monica sat back, processing this information. Sometime in the past 8 weeks, Cole had taken the time to explain medical procedures to a 4-year-old in terms he could understand and find reassuring. It was such a small thing, yet it spoke volumes about the kind of father he was becoming: thoughtful, attentive to details, concerned with his children's emotional well-being as well as their physical health. "Monica!" The voice jolted her from her thoughts. She looked up to see Cole striding toward her, still in his business suit but with his tie loosened and hair uncharacteristically disheveled. His expression was a mixture of concern and determination that made her heart skip. "Cole? How did you? I got your message during a break between meetings. Took the company jet." He reached her side, his eyes scanning her face. "How is he? Is he out of surgery?" "Yes, just now. The doctor said it went perfectly. He'll be moved to a room soon." Monica stood, suddenly aware of how exhausted she felt. "You didn't have to come. I know how important those meetings are. Nothing is more important than my son." The simplicity of the statement, delivered without hesitation or qualification, brought unexpected tears to Monica's eyes. Cole noticed immediately, his expression softening. "Hey," he said gently, reaching out to touch her arm. "He's going to be fine. You heard the doctor." "I know." Monica wiped at her eyes, embarrassed by the display of emotion. "It's just been a long day, and you've been handling it alone." There was no accusation in Cole's voice, only understanding. "But you're not alone anymore, Monica. That's what I've been trying to tell you." Before she could respond, a nurse appeared to inform them that Oliver had been moved to a room and was beginning to wake up. Together, they followed her through the hospital corridors, their shared concern for their son temporarily overshadowing the unresolved tension between them. Oliver looked impossibly small in the hospital bed, his face pale but peaceful as the anesthesia wore off. When his eyes fluttered open and found both his parents standing beside him, a smile of such pure relief spread across his face that Monica felt her heart constrict. "Daddy," he murmured drowsily. You came back early. Of course I did, Cole replied, his voice gentle as he took Oliver's small hand in his. Nothing could keep me away when you needed me. Did they fix my appendix like you said doctors fix parts? They did, Cole confirmed, exchanging a surprised glance with Monica. And now you need to rest so your body can heal. Where's Liza and Alex? Oliver asked, his eyelids already growing heavy again. They're with Aunt Diane, Monica assured him. They'll visit tomorrow when you're feeling better. Kay. Oliver's eyes drifted closed, his breathing evening out as he slipped back into sleep. Cole and Monica stood in silence for a moment, watching their son rest. Finally, Cole spoke, his voice low to avoid disturbing Oliver. I meant what I said, Monica. Nothing is more important than the children. Not the company. Not the meetings, nothing. You dropped everything and flew here on a moment's notice, Monica acknowledged. That's not what I expected. What did you expect? I don't know. Call, perhaps. Concern expressed from a distance. Not you physically appearing within hours. Cole's expression turned serious. When I got your message, I didn't think. I just acted. Being 300 miles away when my son needed surgery wasn't acceptable. Not to me. The simple declaration hung between them, profound in its implications. This was the crux of their dilemma. The geographic distance that separated Cole's business life from his children's home. The impossible choice between careers and family that parents had faced for generations. I've been thinking about your proposal, Monica said quietly. About splitting time between Vermont and New York. About finding a middle ground. And I think you're right. The children deserve to have both parents fully present in their lives. Not just for emergencies, but for everyday moments too. Relief washed over Cole's features. You'll consider relocating? I'll consider a dual arrangement, Monica clarified. Maintaining the Vermont home but establishing a second residence in New York. Spending school breaks and perhaps summers in the city. Exploring schools in both locations for when they start kindergarten next year. It wasn't a complete capitulation to Cole's original proposal, but it was a significant compromise. An acknowledgement that their children's needs transcended her fear of returning to New York or her reluctance to share the parental control she'd maintained for 4 years. That's more than I hoped for, Cole admitted, genuine surprise in his voice. What changed your mind? Monica glanced at Oliver's sleeping form, so vulnerable in the hospital bed. This, she said simply. Facing a crisis and realizing that our son needed both of us. That I needed you here, not just on a video call. She met Cole's gaze directly. The triplets love you, Cole. These past 2 weeks without you have been harder on them than I expected. They miss you, and seeing you drop everything to be here when Oliver needed you, it matters. Cole was silent for a moment, his expression thoughtful. Thank you, he said finally, for being willing to consider a compromise. For recognizing that I want to be a real father to them, not just a weekend visitor. You've proven that, Monica acknowledged. These past weeks, you've shown up consistently. You've put in the work of getting to know them as individuals. You've respected my boundaries, mostly. She offered a small smile with the last words, softening the implicit criticism. Cole returned the smile, a rare moment of unguarded warmth. I'm learning. Fatherhood doesn't come with a manual, especially not when you start 4 years late. Neither does motherhood, Monica countered. We're both figuring it out as we go. A nurse entered to check Oliver's vital signs, interrupting their conversation. When she left, Cole glanced at his watch. It's getting late. Have you eaten anything today? Monica realized with surprise that she hadn't. Not since a hasty breakfast before the call from the preschool. No, actually. Let me get you something, Cole offered. I saw a cafe on the first floor. What would you like? The simple consideration touched Monica unexpectedly. A sandwich, maybe? And coffee. Definitely coffee. I'll be right back. Cole squeezed her shoulder lightly as he passed, the brief contact sending an unexpected warmth through her. Left alone with her sleeping son, Monica found herself reflecting on the journey that had brought them to this moment. For years ago, she had fled from Cole Harrington, certain that his presence in her children's lives would be destructive. Now, she was contemplating a future where they would share parenting responsibilities, where her carefully constructed independence would need to accommodate his role as their father. It was terrifying. It was necessary. It was perhaps the right thing for everyone involved. When Cole returned with food, they ate quietly in Oliver's room, discussing practical matters in low voices, how long Oliver's recovery might take, arrangements for Eliza and Alexander to visit tomorrow, the logistics of Cole extending his stay in Vermont until Oliver was fully recovered. "I'll need to reschedule the Tokyo meetings," Cole mused, more to himself than to Monica, "and delegate the quarterly review to Bradford." "Can you do that?" Monica asked, genuinely curious about the flexibility of his seemingly rigid corporate responsibilities. Cole's expression turned wry. "One advantage of being the founder and CEO. I can rearrange priorities when necessary. It's not something I've done often in the past, but..." He glanced at Oliver. Priorities change. The simple acknowledgement of his shifting values struck Monica deeply. The Cole Harrington she had known 4 years ago would never have postponed critical business meetings for personal reasons. That man had been singularly focused on building his empire, on conquering markets and outmaneuvering competitors. This Cole, who sat beside his son's hospital bed rearranging his corporate calendar without hesitation, was someone new, or perhaps someone who had always existed beneath the ruthless exterior but had never had reason to emerge. "They do," she agreed softly. Sometimes dramatically. Their eyes met over Oliver's sleeping form, a moment of perfect understanding passing between them. Whatever their past, whatever complications lay ahead, they shared one absolute priority now. 3 small humans who needed them both. The next morning, Oliver was alert and recovering well, his natural resilience helping him bounce back quickly from surgery. When Eliza and Alexander arrived to visit, escorted by Diane, their relief at seeing their brother was matched only by their excitement at finding their father unexpectedly present. "Daddy!" Eliza launched herself at Cole, who caught her easily. "You came back early." "I did," Cole confirmed, settling her on his lap. "Oliver needed me, so I came right away." "Are you staying?" Alexander asked, his expression hopeful. Cole glanced at Monica before answering. "For a while, yes, until Oliver is feeling better." "And then you have to go back to New York?" Eliza's face fell slightly. "For a little while," Cole acknowledged. "But your mom and I have been talking about some new arrangements that might let us spend more time together." 3 identical faces turned to Monica with expressions of such hope that she felt her heart twist. "We're working on a plan," she confirmed. "Nothing's decided yet, but we're thinking about ways for all of us to be together more often." The triplets exchanged glances, one of those silent communications that Monica had observed since their infancy. Then Alexander, typically the most direct, asked, "Are you and Daddy getting married?" The question caught both adults completely off guard. Cole recovered first, his voice gentle but firm. "No, buddy, that's not what we're talking about. Your mom and I are figuring out how to be good parents to you 3, but we're not a couple." "Oh," Alexander considered this. "Tommy at preschool's parents got unmarried, but then they got married again after they stopped being mad at each other." Monica felt heat rise to her cheeks. "It's not quite the same situation, Alex. Your dad and I were never married. But you like each other now, right?" Eliza persisted, her expression earnest. "You're not mad anymore?" Cole met Monica's gaze over the children's heads, his expression a mixture of amusement and something more complex. "We're not mad at each other," he confirmed. "We're learning to work together because we both love you very much." This seemed to satisfy the triplets, who quickly moved on to more pressing concerns. Whether Oliver would have a cool scar, if he could still go to the aquarium next weekend as planned, and if hospital food was really as bad as it looked on TV. As the children chattered, Monica found herself watching Cole, struck by the ease with which he fielded their questions and concerns. He had adapted to fatherhood with remarkable speed, his natural authority tempered by genuine affection and surprising patience. It was yet another facet of the man she was still discovering, layer by layer. as they navigated this unexpected co-parenting journey. Later, after Diane had taken Eliza and Alexander home for lunch and Oliver had drifted off for a nap, Cole and Monica found themselves alone in the hospital cafeteria, both needing a break from the confines of the small room. "The marriage question caught you off guard," Cole observed, a hint of amusement in his voice as he stirred his coffee. Monica smiled despite herself. Children have no filter, and they're at an age where they're trying to understand family structures. They see their friends with married parents and wonder why theirs aren't. "It's natural," Cole agreed, "though I admit, I wasn't prepared for quite that level of directness." "Welcome to parenting," Monica said dryly, "where the most uncomfortable questions are asked in the most public settings at the loudest possible volume." Cole laughed, a genuine sound that Monica realized she had rarely heard from him. It transformed his features, softening the intensity that usually defined him. "I'm learning that," he acknowledged. "Last week, Alexander asked me in the middle of a crowded restaurant why some people have hair in their ears, loudly, while pointing at an elderly gentleman at the next table." Monica winced sympathetically. "How did you handle it?" "I explained that bodies change as people age, and that it's not polite to point or comment on others' appearances. Then I ordered dessert as a distraction." "Solid strategy," Monica approved. "Distraction is a key parenting skill." They shared a smile, the moment of camaraderie feeling surprisingly natural. Then Cole's expression turned more serious. "I've been thinking about what you said last night, about a dual arrangement between Vermont and New York. I think it could work with some adjustments." "What kind of adjustments?" "I could restructure my work schedule to spend more time remotely. 3 weeks in New York, 1 week in Vermont, perhaps. And you and the children could come to New York for extended weekends, holidays, parts of the summer." Monica considered this. "That might be workable, especially once they start kindergarten next fall. Their schedule will be more structured then." "I'd also like to look into properties here," Cole continued. "Something more suitable than a hotel when I visit. Perhaps a lakeside home with enough room for all of us." The implication that they might sometimes stay together as a family unit was not lost on Monica, but she chose not to address it directly. "That makes sense. The bungalow is getting crowded as the triplets grow. And in New York," Cole added carefully, "I'd want you and the children to have your own space. Not the penthouse necessarily, but somewhere you'd feel comfortable. Independent but connected." The consideration in this offer surprised Monica. She had expected Cole to insist they stay at his Manhattan penthouse during New York visits, keeping them under his roof and influence. This suggestion of separate but proximate living arrangements acknowledged her need for autonomy while facilitating the children's relationship with their father. "That's thoughtful," she admitted. "I appreciate you considering our comfort." "I'm trying to find solutions that respect everyone's needs," Cole said simply. "Including yours, Monica. I know returning to New York, even part-time, isn't easy for you." The acknowledgement of her feelings, so matter-of-fact yet genuine, touched something deep within Monica. For years, she had viewed Cole Harrington as someone who steamrolled others' concerns in pursuit of his own objectives. This willingness to consider her perspective, to accommodate her needs alongside his own, revealed a capacity for empathy she hadn't believed he possessed. "Thank you," she said quietly, "for understanding that this is complicated for me." Cole nodded, his expression serious. "We're building something neither of us anticipated, Monica. A family structure that has no precedent or blueprint. It's going to require flexibility and compromise from both of us. And patience," Monica added. "The triplets will need time to adjust to any changes we make." "Agreed." Cole checked his watch. "Oliver should be waking up soon. Shall we head back?" As they walked together through the hospital corridors, Monica found herself reflecting on the strange journey that had brought them to this point. For years ago, she had fled from Cole Harrington, certain that his presence in her children's lives would be destructive. Now they were planning a future where they would share parenting responsibilities across 2 cities, their lives intertwined through 3 small humans who needed them both. It wasn't what she had envisioned when she discovered her pregnancy. It wasn't what Cole had planned when he'd built his corporate empire. But perhaps, Monica thought as they reached Oliver's room to find him awake and smiling, it was exactly what their children needed. Two parents committed to finding a way forward together, despite the complications and challenges ahead. If you believe that families come in all shapes and sizes, and that love can find unexpected ways to flourish, hit that like button. And if you're curious about how this unconventional family will navigate their new arrangement, subscribe to Timeless Love Tales with Mr. Harrison for stories that celebrate the many forms that love and family can take. 6 months later, Monica stood in the spacious kitchen of Cole's newly purchased Vermont lake house, watching through the window as he taught the triplets to ice skate on the frozen cove. The December afternoon was crisp and clear, sunlight glinting off the snow-covered landscape and transforming the ordinary scene into something magical. The past half year had been a period of adjustment and compromise for all of them. True to his word, Cole had restructured his work schedule to spend 1 week each month in Vermont, while Monica and the triplets had begun traveling to New York for extended weekends and holidays. The arrangement wasn't perfect. There were still missed school events and occasional resentments when business emergencies interrupted family plans, but it was working better than Monica had dared to hope. The triplets had adapted with the resilience of childhood, excited by their dual life between the quiet charm of Vermont and the vibrant energy of Manhattan. They had started kindergarten at the small progressive school near Monica's bungalow, thriving in the nurturing environment while looking forward to their New York adventures with equal enthusiasm. For Monica, the adjustment had been more complex. Returning to New York had awakened old anxieties, memories of the corporate world she'd fled and the vulnerability she'd felt upon discovering her pregnancy. Yet it had also reconnected her with parts of herself she'd set aside: her ambition, her professional identity, her enjoyment of urban energy and cultural opportunities. Cole had kept his promise to provide them with independent space in New York, purchasing a comfortable brownstone just blocks from his penthouse. The arrangement gave Monica the autonomy she needed while allowing the children easy access to both parents during their city stays. It was a thoughtful compromise that reflected Cole's growing understanding of her needs and boundaries. Here in Vermont, the new lake house served as Cole's base during his monthly visits. Spacious enough for family gatherings but separate from Monica's bungalow, maintaining the distinct households they had established. Today was an exception, a family day celebrating the triplets' first skating lesson before they all departed for New York tomorrow to spend Christmas week in the city. Outside, Cole was crouched beside Oliver, adjusting his skates while Eliza and Alexander practiced gliding a few feet away. His patience seemed infinite, his attention fully focused on each child's needs and progress. Watching him, Monica marveled at the transformation of the driven CEO she had known 4 years ago into this devoted father, who could set aside his phone and corporate concerns to spend hours teaching 3 5-year-olds to balance on thin blades of steel. The sound of her phone ringing pulled Monica from these thoughts. Glancing at the screen, she saw Diane's name and answered with a smile. "Hey Dee, what's up? Just checking if you're still on for our coffee date tomorrow before you head to the big city," her friend replied. "Though I'm guessing you might cancel given the cozy family scene I drove past a few minutes ago." Monica laughed. "I saw you drive by, and no, I'm not canceling. Cole is taking the triplets to the Children's Museum in the morning, so I'm all yours for coffee before our flight." "Good, because I have questions, my friend. Many questions about what exactly is happening between you and Billionaire Dad these days." "Nothing is happening," Monica protested, though she felt a telltale warmth rise to her cheeks. "We're co-parenting. Successfully, I might add." Diane hummed skeptically. "And that's why you're spending the day at his lake house looking like a Hallmark Christmas movie family." The triplets wanted to try skating, and the cove here is safer than the public pond, Monica explained, though she knew her justification sounded weak even to her own ears. "Right, and I'm sure it has nothing to do with the way you light up when you talk about him these days, or the fact that you've started wearing makeup on regular Tuesdays." "I'll see you for coffee tomorrow," Monica said firmly, changing the subject. 11 o'clock at Maple Corner?" "Fine, avoid the question," Diane laughed. "But I'll get it out of you tomorrow, with witnesses." After hanging up, Monica returned her attention to the scene outside. where Cole was now holding Eliza's hands as she tentatively glided forward, her face a mixture of concentration and delight. The sight stirred something warm and complicated in Monica's chest, an emotion she had been carefully avoiding naming for months now. The truth, which she was reluctant to admit even to herself, let alone to Diane, was that something had shifted between her and Cole. Gradually, almost imperceptibly, their carefully maintained co-parenting relationship had developed undercurrents of something more personal, more intimate. Conversations that began about the children's needs often extended into shared interests, memories, hopes for the future. Professional respect had evolved into genuine admiration. Cautious trust had deepened into something that felt dangerously like friendship, or perhaps more than friendship. Monica had noticed the change most acutely during their New York visits. Cole would join them for dinner at the brownstone, ostensibly to spend time with the triplets, but often lingering after they went to bed, sharing a glass of wine with Monica as they discussed everything from books to business to philosophy. Sometimes, when he looked at her in those quiet moments, she caught glimpses of the intensity that had drawn her to him that first night 4 years ago. A focused interest that had nothing to do with parenting and everything to do with her as a woman. She had been careful to maintain boundaries, to remind herself of all the reasons a romantic entanglement with Cole Harrington would be complicated and potentially disastrous. They had 3 children to consider, a delicate co-parenting balance that any relationship drama could disrupt. And beyond that, there was the fundamental question of compatibility. They had built very different lives, valued different things, approached the world from vastly different perspectives. And yet, the door opened, interrupting her thoughts as Cole ushered the triplets inside, their cheeks flushed with cold and excitement. "Mommy, did you see me?" Eliza exclaimed, rushing toward Monica with her skates still dangling from her hands. "I went all the way across the ice without falling. I saw you, sweetheart. You were amazing." Monica helped her daughter remove her snow-crusted coat. "All of you were. Dad says I'm a natural," Alexander announced proudly, "because I have good balance." "You do?" Cole confirmed, helping Oliver with his boots. "All 3 of you picked it up faster than I expected. Can we skate again tomorrow before we go to New York?" Oliver asked, his quiet voice hopeful. Cole and Monica exchanged glances. "We have an early afternoon flight," Cole reminded him gently. "But we can come back and skate more when we return after Christmas. Promise?" Oliver pressed, his serious eyes fixed on his father's face. "Promise." Cole ruffled his son's hair affectionately. "Now, who's ready for hot chocolate?" The mention of hot chocolate sent the triplets racing toward the kitchen, momentarily forgetting their skating triumph in pursuit of marshmallows and whipped cream. Cole and Monica followed more slowly, a comfortable silence between them as they watched their children's excitement. "Thank you for today," Monica said quietly as they reached the kitchen. "They've been talking about learning to skate for weeks." "I enjoyed it," Cole replied, his voice equally low. "Seeing them try something new, watching their confidence grow. It's remarkable." Their eyes met briefly, that now familiar current of unspoken awareness passing between them before Monica looked away, busying herself with preparing hot chocolate while Cole helped the triplets out of their remaining winter gear. Later, after the children had been settled in front of a movie with their drinks and snacks, Cole gestured for Monica to join him in the adjacent study. She followed, curious about his serious expression. "Is everything okay?" she asked as he closed the door partway, leaving it open enough to hear the triplets but providing a measure of privacy. "Everything's fine," Cole assured her, moving to stand by the fireplace where flames crackled cheerfully. "I just wanted to discuss something before we head to New York tomorrow." "The Christmas arrangements? I thought we had those finalized." They had carefully planned the holiday week, balancing family traditions from both sides and ensuring the triplets would experience the magic of Christmas in the city without becoming overwhelmed. "Not the Christmas arrangements." Cole seemed uncharacteristically hesitant, his usual confidence momentarily subdued. "Something more personal." Monica felt her pulse quicken. "Oh, these past 6 months," Cole began, his gaze steady on her face, "have been a period of adjustment for all of us. Learning to co-parent, establishing routines between 2 cities, finding a balance that works for the children. It's going well, Monica offered when he paused. Better than I expected, honestly. I agree. Cole took a step closer. The children are thriving. Our arrangement, while unconventional, is working. But there's something else that's developed during this time. Something I think we've both been careful not to acknowledge directly. Monica felt heat rise to her cheeks, knowing exactly what he meant but unwilling to be the first to name it. Cole, there's something between us, Monica. His voice was quiet but certain. Something that goes beyond our shared responsibility for the triplets. I felt it growing these past months, and I think you've felt it too. The directness was so typically Cole. No hedging, no ambiguity, just a clear statement of what he perceived to be true. Monica found herself both appreciative of his straightforwardness and terrified by the conversation it was initiating. We have a good co-parenting relationship, she said carefully. We've learned to work together effectively for the children's sake. That's true, Cole acknowledged. But it's not all that's happening, and I think we both know it. The conversations that have nothing to do with the triplets. The way we seek each other out even when the children aren't present. The fact that I find myself looking forward to our family dinners not just to see the children, but to see you. The admission hung in the air between them, too honest to dismiss or deflect. Monica felt something shift inside her, a wall of caution beginning to crumble under the weight of truth. It's complicated, she said finally, neither confirming nor denying his observations. Life usually is. Cole moved closer still, close enough that she could see the flecks of silver in his gray eyes. But I've learned something important these past months, Monica. Complications aren't necessarily obstacles. Sometimes they're just part of something worth pursuing. The triplets would be affected by any significant change in our relationship, Cole finished for her. I know. That's why I've been patient, why I've given us both time to be certain about what we want. But I also know that children benefit from seeing their parents happy, from witnessing healthy relationships built on mutual respect and genuine affection. Monica found herself without a ready response, her carefully constructed arguments about maintaining boundaries suddenly seeming hollow in the face of Cole's quiet certainty. What exactly are you suggesting? She asked finally. I'm suggesting we stop pretending that we're only connected through the triplets, Cole replied. I'm suggesting we acknowledge what's developing between us and explore it honestly, with the same care and consideration we've brought to our co-parenting arrangement. And if it doesn't work out? Monica voiced her deepest fear. If we try and fail, what happens to everything we've built for the children? Then we handle it with maturity and respect, Cole said simply. The same way we've handled every other challenge. But Monica, his voice softened, what if it does work? What if what began 4 years ago was meant to be more than one night? What if the connection that created 3 remarkable children could also create a life together that none of us anticipated? The possibility hung between them, breathtaking in its potential. Monica looked into Cole's eyes and saw not the ruthless CEO she had fled from 4 years ago, but the man she had come to know these past months. Patient with their children, respectful of her boundaries, willing to reshape his life to accommodate the family he hadn't known he wanted. I'm scared, she admitted, the words barely above a whisper. So am I, Cole confessed, surprising her. I've built companies, negotiated billion-dollar deals, faced down corporate raiders, but nothing has ever felt as consequential as this conversation with you right now. The vulnerability in his admission touched something deep within Monica. Cole Harrington, acknowledging fear? The man who projected absolute confidence in every situation was standing before her, openly admitting uncertainty. What do we tell the children? She asked, the question itself an acknowledgement that she was considering his proposal. The truth in age-appropriate terms, Cole suggested, that their mom and dad are becoming friends in a special way, and that we're going to spend more time together to see where that friendship leads. They'll have questions. They always do, Cole smiled, and we'll answer them honestly, the way we've tried to do since they learned I'm their father. Monica was silent for a moment, weighing possibilities, risks, hopes. Then, with a deep breath, she took a step toward Cole, closing the remaining distance between them. "Okay," she said simply. "Okay." Cole's eyebrows rose slightly, seeking confirmation. "Okay, let's acknowledge what's happening between us. Let's explore it, carefully, with the children's well-being as our priority." Monica met his gaze directly. "But Cole, we go slowly. Very slowly." The smile that spread across Cole's face was unlike any expression she had seen from him before. Unguarded, genuinely joyful, transforming his usually serious features. "Slowly," he agreed, reaching out to take her hand. "We have time, Monica. All the time we need." The touch of his fingers against hers sent a familiar warmth through her body, reminiscent of that first night 4 years ago, yet somehow deeper, richer for all they had experienced since. As Cole's thumb traced a gentle pattern across her palm, Monica realized that the fear she had carried for so long, fear of his power, his control, his ability to upend her carefully constructed life, had transformed into something else entirely. Not the absence of fear, but the presence of something stronger. Trust, built day by day through shared parenting, through witnessed vulnerability, through promises kept. Before either could speak again, the study door pushed open fully as 3 curious faces peered in. "Is the movie over already?" Monica asked, not pulling her hand from Cole's despite the audience. "It got boring," Alexander explained. "Why are you holding hands? Are you getting married now?" Cole laughed, the sound warm and genuine. "Not right now, buddy. Your mom and I are just talking about grown-up things." "About being friends?" Eliza asked shrewdly, her perceptive gaze moving between her parents' faces. Monica and Cole exchanged glances, a silent communication passing between them. "Yes," Monica confirmed. "About being friends. Special friends. Like boyfriend and girlfriend?" Alexander pressed, clearly determined to understand the exact nature of this development. "Something like that," Cole acknowledged, his tone light but honest. "We're still figuring it out ourselves." Oliver, who had been quietly observing as usual, spoke up with the simple clarity of childhood. "Good. Families should be together." The statement, so straightforward yet profound, hung in the air for a moment. Then Cole crouched to his son's level, his expression serious. "Families come in all different forms, Oliver, and ours might look different from some of your friends. But you're right about one important thing. We are a family, all 5 of us, no matter what." The triplets seemed satisfied with this explanation, quickly moving on to more pressing concerns, whether they could have more hot chocolate, what time they would leave for New York tomorrow, if the Christmas tree at Rockefeller Center was really as big as it looked in pictures. As Cole fielded these questions, Monica watched him with the triplets, struck once again by how naturally he had adapted to fatherhood. The man who had once intimidated boardrooms with his intensity now sat cross-legged on the floor, discussing the logistics of Santa Claus with 3 5-year-olds. His expression as serious as if he were negotiating a corporate merger. And perhaps, Monica reflected, that was the most remarkable part of their journey. Not that she had hidden the triplets or that Cole had found them, but that discovering his children had revealed a version of Cole Harrington that perhaps had always existed beneath the corporate armor, waiting for the right reason to emerge. If you believe that sometimes the most unexpected journeys lead to exactly where we're meant to be, hit that like button. And if you want to see more stories about love that finds its way despite all obstacles, subscribe to Timeless Love Tales with Mr. Harrison. 1 year later, on a crisp December evening, Monica stood in the master bedroom of Cole's Vermont lake house. Now their lake house, adjusting the simple white dress that fell in elegant lines to her ankles. Through the window, she could see the transformed boathouse at the edge of the property, its wooden structure wrapped in thousands of twinkling lights that reflected off the frozen lake surface. "Mom, are you ready yet?" Eliza's impatient voice called from the hallway. "Dad says everyone's waiting." "Almost ready, sweetheart," Monica replied, taking a final glance in the mirror. At 36, she looked different than she had 4 years ago when she'd fled New York. More confident, perhaps, the lines around her eyes speaking of both laughter and challenges overcome. But the woman who looked back at her was also unmistakably herself, not defined solely by motherhood or by her relationship with Cole, but by the sum of all her choices, good and difficult alike. Opening the bedroom door, she found not just Eliza but all three triplets waiting, dressed in their holiday best and practically vibrating with excitement. "You look beautiful, Mommy," Oliver said solemnly, his eyes wide as he took in her appearance. "Thank you, sweetheart." Monica smoothed his carefully combed hair. "You all look very handsome and beautiful too. Dad said to tell you that if you don't come down soon, he might think you changed your mind," Alexander reported with characteristic directness. Monica laughed. "Tell your father I haven't changed my mind. I'm coming right now." The past year had unfolded in ways Monica could never have predicted. True to their agreement, she and Cole had taken things slowly, carefully integrating their romantic relationship into the family structure they had established. Date nights while the triplets stayed with Diane. Weekend trips to New York where Cole showed her the city through new eyes. Quiet evenings by the fire after the children were asleep, talking about everything and nothing. Gradually, the careful boundaries between their lives had softened. Monica had expanded her consulting business to include New York clients, spending more time in the city. Cole had restructured Harrington Global to allow him more time in Vermont, delegating responsibilities he once would have insisted on handling personally. The brownstone and the lake house had become their primary residences, with the Manhattan penthouse and Vermont bungalow maintained but used less frequently. 6 months ago, during a family vacation to the coast of Maine, Cole had proposed, not with grand gestures or public displays, but quietly, on a moonlit beach while the triplets slept in the rental cottage nearby. His words had been simple. "We've created something remarkable together, Monica. A family, a partnership, a love I never expected to find. Will you marry me?" She had said yes without hesitation, surprising herself with the certainty she felt. The journey from that one night 4 years ago to this moment had been complicated, challenging, at times painful, but it had led them exactly where they were meant to be. Now, following the triplets down the stairs, Monica found Cole waiting at the bottom, his expression transforming as he caught sight of her. At 40, he remained as imposingly handsome as when they'd first met, though the past year had softened something in his features. The intensity that had once intimidated boardrooms now tempered by genuine warmth. "I was beginning to think you might be having second thoughts," he said quietly as she reached him, taking her hands in his. "Never," Monica replied simply. "Just wanted to make sure everything was perfect." "It already is." Cole's gaze held hers, conveying everything words couldn't express. Gratitude for the family she had given him, appreciation for the trust she had gradually extended, love that had grown from the most unexpected beginning into something neither had imagined possible. Together, they followed the triplets through the house and down the path to the boathouse, where a small gathering of their closest friends and family awaited. No elaborate ceremony, no society wedding befitting a billionaire CEO, just an intimate celebration with the people who mattered most, exactly as they had both wanted. As they exchanged vows beneath the twinkling lights, their 3 children standing proudly beside them, Monica reflected on the extraordinary journey that had brought them to this moment. One night had created 3 lives. 4 years of separation had given her the strength and independence to become the mother her children needed. An unexpected reunion had challenged everything she thought she knew about Cole Harrington. And now, here they stood, creating a family that defied conventional definitions but felt absolutely right. "I now pronounce you husband and wife," the officiant declared. His words met with cheers from their small audience and excited jumping from the triplets. As Cole leaned in to kiss her, Monica felt the final pieces of her heart's puzzle falling into place. The woman who had once fled from this man was gone, replaced by someone stronger, wiser, and brave enough to embrace not just the love he offered, but the complex, beautiful family they had created together. Was it worth the wait? Cole murmured against her lips, his voice for her alone. Monica smiled, drawing back to meet his gaze. "Every moment," she assured him. "Every single moment." Around them, their friends and family applauded. The triplets danced with excitement, and the Vermont winter wrapped their celebration in pristine white. It wasn't the life Monica had planned when she discovered her pregnancy 6 years ago. It wasn't the family Cole had envisioned while building his corporate empire. It was something entirely unexpected, born from one night that had changed everything. And it was, without question, exactly where they were all meant to be. If you believe that true love finds its way despite all obstacles, hit that like button. And if you want more stories about families that defy expectations and love that transforms lives, subscribe to Timeless Love Tales with Mr. Harrison. Remember, sometimes the most beautiful journeys begin with a single unexpected moment that changes everything forever.